Oh, guys, this is my second time recording this video because I forgot to turn on my DJI mic. I watched dozens of videos about the S1R II, and that was the camera that I wanted from Lumix for so long since I've bought my S5 IIX. I bought my S5 Mark IIX 6-7 months ago because I wanted a camera that has more, video features at a good price point. At the time, I was running my Fujifilm X-H2 as my main camera for my photos and video, and it was great for everything I was doing at the time, right? I could do portraits, wedding photography. It fit my needs really, really well for what I do, including video too. That was the camera that I started out with for my YouTube channel. No complaints there. But I just wanted something a little bit better in terms of video, like, open gate, better autofocus, and just better low light performance. One day I saw the S5 Mark IIX on sale, like it was dirt cheap compared to the original price, so I couldn't help it to spend more money. So I spent more money on that camera and bought 3 other prime lens with it, which would be the 35, 50, and 85 1.8 prime lens that are meant for video stuff, and which is really great. So I took that camera with me everywhere in terms of travels, used it as my main A camera for my wedding photography, and I did a lot of video, and it was really fun to use that for video. One thing that left me wanting for more was better photo capabilities. When I say better photo capabilities, I don't mean that the S5 IIX is a bad photo camera. In fact, it's a really good photo camera with really, really good video features. Hence why I call it a hybrid. It was that I didn't like the long buffer period between each capture, or I guess the way I describe it, for every press of the shutter button, there's a brief period of time where there's a blackout period, and I find that a little too long for my liking, especially coming from a full frame camera for my wedding photography. I missed quite a bit of perfect moments of my clients, and I wasn't really happy about that. So I wanted something a bit better. And the only thing that was a step up from that was the Lumix S1R. Yes, that camera is much older than the Lumix S152 IIX, but it seemed to have everything I wanted. Higher megapixel count, which I love because I tend to crop and reframe my photos quite a bit, so that's very welcoming. A better robust body, which is nice, and apparently the EVF is much better. And that was one of the things that I didn't like with the S5 IIX, was that the EVF was subpar. It was not good. So, but I couldn't do that because if I were to buy the S1R, it feels like I would go back to step one because it didn't have a lot of video features that the S5 IIX had. So I was in a bit of a pickle, right? And there wasn't any rumors at that time about the S1R II or another flagship photocentric camera from Lumix. So I'm like, dang, I really need something able to capture more photos for me. The closest thing that would fit that criteria was the Nikon Z8, which I ended up buying. I love the Nikon Z8 for the body style and the fact that it has very, very, very good video features. The fact that it's a double stack sensor, fast readout speed, has a CF Express Type B card slot, very nice. I can shoot in NRAW, 8K 60, 30, 24, all those codecs, all those formats, and even shoot at 4K 120 with no crop, which is really nice, right? I bought that, I was happy with it. The Z mount has lots of lens support, which I am grateful for because with Lumix, because the Elma Alliance, there wasn't a lot of third-party lens going around for the Lumix. So I'm like, okay, so I think at the time I made a good choice, right? I got a Nikon Z8 with very good video features and it's really good for photos too, because of the fact that there's almost no blackout period when taking photos, and which is great. But I think in exchange, you lose a bit of dynamic range, but that's okay, because if I wanted a camera with really good dynamic range, I would just go use my GFX 100S Mark II. That's my A camera for all my photos. If I wanted like the best editing flexibility and best image quality. With the Z8, it's the perfect balance of both great video and great photos, right? Jack of all trades. So I was happy with the purchase. But 2 weeks after I bought the Z8, or was it 3 weeks? Give or take 2 or 3 weeks, Lumix announces the S1R2. You can't imagine how I felt. I was mad. I was mad that Lumix just announced the S1R2 with all the features I wanted from Lumix. Was like higher megapixel count. It's not a double stack sensor. It's a brand new sensor. I believe a lot of people are saying it's coming from the what was it, Ronin? One of the Ronin sensors. But let me check that out. Hold on. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I heard that the S1R2 sensor is the same sensor from the Ronin 4D that shoots 8K, but maybe a little worse in terms of readout speed. But hey, it works. And on top of that, they're saying that it's going to be a better autofocus system, which is fine. Like the S5 Mark II X had really good autofocus, so I don't doubt that the S1R2 would be just as good or better. That's very, I welcome that. And just, all this quality improvements over the original S1R. And can't forget, I can finally use a really good camera with really good EVF. And not to mention that, it would have a really good EVF. Super welcoming. And it still has really good video features, but there's some caveats on the video itself. Because apparently, not apparently, I think it's a fact, based on the videos I've watched, is that it has not so good readout speed, meaning there's gonna be lots of rolling shutter. But I don't care, because the S5 2X has similar readout speed as the S1R2, right? Meaning the rolling shutter would be very similar to each other. And I didn't have a problem with that on my S5 Mark II X, because I don't shoot fast action. I don't whip my camera in fast movement and whatnot. It's very more very chill, very slow, more like artistic shots. Lots of it is static, but nothing like fast moving. It's fine for me, and I do find it weird that a lot of people out there are saying that because of the rolling shutter issue, it's dead on arrival, which I completely disagree with, because it's all based on your use case. So for me, I really wanted a new Lumix flagship camera with video features and better photo capabilities over the S5 2X, and that fits the bill. And based on one of the videos I saw, low light performance is actually better than S1R2 over the S5 2X. So I'm mixing the names up here. And that's very welcoming. And once I get this S1R2 on my hands, I can finally test the camera for myself and make my own conclusions. Lumix is known to have really good firmware support. In fact, I think they released an update on the S5 II and S5 2X a couple weeks ago. And also they also keep updating their S9 camera. At launch, it wasn't a great package with that price point where it launched with, but now that I'm seeing it being heavily discounted everywhere and getting firmware updates to make it a better camera, it can potentially be a really good competitor to the Nikon Z8, Canon R5 Mark II, and Sony Alpha's camera. It's priced so well. I think it's going for $3,200 USD for all those features that I've asked for. right? And at that price point, I think it's hard not to like it, right? And on top of like the ongoing firmware support from Lumix, I think it will be a much better camera. Well, maybe not better, but maybe equal, but a very good competitor to the other cameras out there. I will buy the S1R2. I love their color science. Vlog is so flexible in terms of me grading, and I just love the way that it handles the highlights and shadows, and like it's great in low light performance, and it's easy to grade again, right? And comparatively, I enjoy it a lot more than me grading Fujifilm's F-Log and F-Log 2, and even Nikon's N-Log. I'm actually struggling grading N-Log because it is a little too weird for me, and that's something I have to work with. But yeah, guys, so I am looking forward to getting the S1R2 and just putting that camera through its paces, because I really want to prove the haters out there that it's a very capable camera for photo and video, despite the flaws, because sometimes you don't really know until you use it. But yeah, that's my take. Bye.